Now, Derrell Dover is going to be bringing us our sermon this Sabbath.
Is this better? Whoa. Okay, it's on now. But anyway, so we agree the Bible is God's Word. And it says a whole lot of things. But if you were to categorize them, how would you categorize them?
Stories.
What's that?
Stories.
Okay. Prophecy, yeah. Could we... I just remembered I had a little old lady Bible worker I knew growing up. And she would always say that the Bible is nothing but love and good common sense. Could never argue with her. But this morning, can we agree that the Bible tells us what we should be doing? Mm-hmm. Even why we should be doing it. And what we shouldn't be doing. And why we shouldn't be doing it. After 42 years, or nearly 42 years, in the U.S. Air Force, we call those regulations that told us what to do and what not to do. A lot of times, though, they didn't bother to say the why. So in a way, yeah, the Bible is a regulation. But I love the way it's written. Because the Bible tells us what to do and what not to do anecdotally. Through the different stories. And today I would like to tell you one of my favorite stories, of course, out of the Bible. Now, why this is one of my favorite stories in the Bible, it taught me something I really needed to learn. And that's why I like to share it with you today. I call it the woman. And I think we know the story. We've heard it many times. We find it in the book of John, verses 2 to 11. And this is a story of the woman who was brought to Jesus that had been caught in adultery. And by the way, John, I don't have the remote up here, so if you could click it forward one. And to review the story, thank you. I know this print's a little small, but I broke one of the cardinal rules of PowerPoint here. I apologize. But anyway, to review this story, we know that early in the morning, he came again into the temple, and all the people came to him. And he sat down and taught them. Then the scribes and the Pharisees. Who are the scribes and the Pharisees? Well, they're the church leaders. They're the ones everyone was supposed to look up to. They were the ones commissioned to give the word of God to the people. Yeah. But the scribes and the Pharisees brought to him a woman caught in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they said to him, "Teacher, this woman was caught in adultery in the very act." Now Moses in the law. Now, what did the scribes and Pharisees think about the law? Oh, they loved it. To them, the law was everything. Salvation was through the law to them. Now, Moses in the law commanded as that such should be stoned. But what do you say? Thus they said, testing him, that they might have something with which to accuse him. And Jesus stooped down and wrote on the ground with his finger, as though he did not hear. Okay, John, next slide. Now, that's me. I'm sorry. So when they continued asking him, he raised himself up and said, "He who is without sin among you, let him throw the stone at her first." And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. Then those who had heard it, being convicted by their conscience, went out one by one. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing saw no one. But let me back up. When Jesus raised himself up, saw no one, and the woman, he said to her, "Woman, where are those who accuse you? Has no one condemned you?" And she said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said to her, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." We've all heard the story. Have you ever thought about it, though, from her perspective? Think about it for a moment. She was caught in sin. And then she was paraded in front of a group of people. And I can imagine, as these events transpired, but she was ashamed, not necessarily of being caught, but because of her sin. If she could have a do-over, she would never do this. She was so sorrowful for her sin. If she could just be forgiven. And she is dragged up to Christ. And then she hears her life being told out loud to everyone. And again, she's like, why did I ever do this? Lord, if I could just have a do-over. Lord, if you could just forgive me. And then after she had been there for a while, after her accusers were done telling her life to everyone, she dare not look up. She looks down at her feet. I can even imagine her taking her toes and maybe scrunching them in the sand. And then she hears those words of condemnation. Let he who is innocent cast the first stone. Maybe she sat there and thought, Lord, if that first stone could hit me in the head and either knock me out and kill me so I don't have to endure the pain of the remainder. And she sat there and she waited. And she waited. And then she heard a voice directed at her. And as she looked up, she looked into a face of love. Those eyes, they captivated her. As she looked into this face of love for a moment, she forgot why she was here, what had happened. But then he spoke again. It kind of jerked her back into reality. He goes, where are the people that were accusing you of this? And for once she looks around and there is no one. And then again she looks into that face of love. And he says, neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. The greatest relief that morning that she felt was not the relief of not being stoned. It was a relief of forgiveness of sin. And a commentary on the life of Christ, which I believe is the finest one ever written. It's called The Desire of Ages. John, can you go to the next slide? It says, those who are forward in accusing others and zealous in bringing them to justice are often in their own lives more guilty than they. Totally fits this story. The church leaders were the guilty ones. They were the bad ones. If you have to have good and bad. Not only were they not fulfilling their obligation, they were using their position for their own purposes. We know that these men had gotten fast and loose with the law, because the law said only the husband could condemn the wife of adultery. And yet they were trying to do it. So yeah, they were getting kind of fast and loose there. This goes on to say that men hate the sinner while they love the sin. We're getting into the area that I needed to learn. And to do this, I want to do a little experiment. Now, there is one rule. Do not say anything out loud because, well, it could get embarrassing. But what I want you to do, I want you to think about the person you least like. And if you've been in my Sabbath school class, we've done this. Think about the person we least like. Now, why do you least like them? Think about that for a moment. Because you know, I dare say you least like them because of what they had done or what they are doing. I've got good news for you. You can hate what they're doing. You can hate what they've done. But you have to love the sinner. You have to love the individual. Because there are people out there I can't stand. I'll admit it. And that was a lesson I needed to learn. And now I get along with them. We can do things together. Because I love the individual. I still hate what they did. I still love the individual, but I hate what they did. I hate to use myself as an example because I'm not a good example for much of anything. But this is the lesson I needed to learn, to love my enemies, to not judge people. Of course, we never judge anybody, do we? Like, oh my word, she's wearing white after Memorial Day. Right? I think that's the rule, I don't know. But we never should judge anyone. I mean, if they're wearing white after Memorial Day, hate what they're doing, we go up and give them a hug. You have to love them. A good friend of mine who's a pastor once shared a story. And I think it's applicable here. One Sabbath he was preaching. His church was laid out like this, aisle down the middle. And just as he got up to begin his sermon, the back doors opened. And in walked an individual who rode motorcycles. Yeah, a biker. From a biker gang. So he has his leathers on. His hair is all greasy. He hasn't shaved. His leathers are dirty, actually. His boots are dirty and worn. And he comes in the back door. Now, what do you think he did? Oh, no. He did not take the back road. He came all the way to the front and planted himself in that front row. My friend preached his sermon. When he got up, as people were leaving, he shook the man's hand and said, "Hey, I hope you come back." Next Sabbath, right before the sermon, back door is open, in walks this biker. He sits down the front row. And that repeated itself week after week. One week he came in and his leathers were all clean. His boots were clean. And yeah, looked like he washed his hair. And a few weeks after that, he came in with a shirt and slacks. And shaved. A few weeks after that, he came in a suit. Now, did my friend take the credit for that? No, he did not. Matter of fact, what he said was this: that church loved him into the church. And yes, he was rejectable, I guess you could say, when he first got there. But every week they would greet him. Every week they took him to potluck, and after a few weeks he went. I don't know what he thought about veggie meat, but he went. And they would greet him and they would talk to him with absolute caring. "Hey, how's everything going? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Is there anything I can do to help you?" As my friend put it, they loved him into the church. For a number of years, I didn't go to church. I joined the Air Force. And God decided I needed to be at Tinker Air Force Base. And then I was taking some classes at OCCC. And I would drive down 240, and here was this church right there off of 240. And my guilt was getting to me. That's okay. Guilt, I'm going to go to church one time just so you can leave me alone. And I kind of dressed up with what I had. I did have a sport coat, tie. So I wasn't quite the biker. And my plan was I'll slip in the back door, sit down on the back pew, sit there and get up and leave before anybody realizes I'm there. I walked in the back door and they had this little lady there. She ran up to me and hugged me. I'm like, I don't know you. But she ran up and hugged me. And another lady came up and shook my hand and handed me a bulletin. Hi, who are you? Where are you from? Oh, you live in Midwest City. I say, yeah. We have some members here that live in Midwest City. What do you do? Oh, you're in the Air Force. Yeah, we've got a new family just transferred here. And he's in the Air Force too. And I felt welcomed. I still snuck in to the best of my abilities after that. Sat down on the back pew. And the people came in, the pastor, the elders, special music. Different participants of the service came in, and we knelt at the beginning for prayer. And I noticed something. See if I can do this. The pastor had on cowboy boots. Where I grew up going to church, you wouldn't wear cowboy boots. He preached a sermon I remember I appreciated. And I couldn't forget those cowboy boots because as a little kid, I wanted cowboy boots. My mother wouldn't buy them for me. Well, I went out and got me a new suit. I got me a pair of cowboy boots to wear to church with it. I thought that was appropriate for the first time I spoke here on something other than a mission trip. I got loved into that church. I can identify with a biker. He had a little bit more radical transformation. But yeah, I can identify with him. Men hate the sinner while they love the sin. Christ hates the sin, but loves the sinner. How much have we talked about? How many times have you heard sermons or Sabbath school lessons? Or just discussions at potluck over the magnanimousness of Christ's love? Can anyone in here fully explain God's love for us? Okay, don't ask me, I can't. But that's one side of the coin. How powerful his love is, how fulfilling his love is. But now if we flip the coin over, we find God's hate. God? Hate? Those two words don't go together. Yes, they do. God does hate. Christ hates the sin. God hates the sin. Now, if you can imagine the power of God's love, now let's flip that coin and think about what must be the power of God's hate. if that doesn't send a shiver up your spine. Because God does hate. He hates the sin. John, next slide, please. Christ hates the sin but loves the sinner. This will be the spirit of all who follow him. How many? How many people in this building right now? I didn't hear that answer. Let's try that again. How many people in this building now? All will hate the sin but love the sinner. What I learned was I have to separate people and their actions. I can hate what they do. God does. He's my perfect example, right? Christ is our perfect example. And God and Christ, they hate the sin. They hate what people do. I can do the same then. But now I have to love the individual. And yeah, that might mean I have to go up and hug them, or walk with them, or talk with them, or sit down and have potluck with them. And yes, that may be the person I least like because of what they have done, but now I need to learn how to love them and hate what they did. Again, Christ as our perfect example. Christian love is slow to censure, quick to discern penitence, ready to forgive, to encourage, to set the wanderer in the path of holiness. How do we do that? Brother, you're sinning. Is that how we do that? No. We love them. We love them into church. We love them into the way of righteousness. So we are to set the wanderer in the path of holiness and to stay his feet therein. And how do we do that? By loving them. And loving them means, okay, there's brother so-and-so. I love him. Not going to talk to him, but I do love him. There he is sitting on that row at potluck. This row's further away. I'll sit here. I love him. Is that how we do it? Or when we see him sitting in church, we come right up and sit next to him. Hey, brother, how you doing? Maybe in potluck, we see him sitting there. We go sit by him. Hey, brother, how you doing? I wanted to check in with you. Talk about his family. Pray with him. If he's having an issue, go, brother, here, let's just bow our heads a second. Pray with him. Love him into the path of righteousness. Because if we can show him Christ's love through us, then maybe, just maybe, he can find the Christ's love for himself. And that, brother and sister, is what I learned. And a lot of you already knew that probably. I don't know. I hope you did. Some of you may have learned something today. I hope you did. Because it is love. You can nearly say in the process or in the environment of salvation that love is the coin of the realm. If you can't love, how can you be a follower of Christ who is love? Thank you.